Greetings and great rising. I don't know if there's a delay. It looks like it because I can watch my eyes roll, So I don't know how great the connection is, but greetings, peace and love. Surprise, motherfucker. Surprise. Who is that with me here? You're supposed to be at church. Oh shit, hold on right quick. Get hold this together. Greetings. Hold on. We can't see each other too well. Let me work something out. Hold on. Get creative. Hold on. All right, this might work. One second. Let's see. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay. One second. Let's try this and see. I'll try to lift you up a little bit. They go to play whole lesson. They gotta mind of their own. Okay, where we at? Ah, fuck it. That's too high. We're gonna get it together. Great rising. I was gonna read to myself, and I thought, great rising. Turn this down. I be jamming and shit. Listen, I was gonna read to myself, and then I thought I might as well read to my family. Great rising. Great rising. Hey, Potty Potty. Done popped up on y'all asses on a whole nother platform. Great rising. Look, make sure you support me on ifeasa.com, okay? I had the old earring site preoccupied. I let it go with 2019 and made all things new. So make sure you check me out there. All right, look. Oh, Holy Dick is coming, y'all. It's coming, y'all. It's coming, y'all. We already. I shouldn't say this type of thing because this is commitment. We already in print. Your girl is in waiting. You know what I'm saying? Send me the box. Send me the box. Send me the box. Anyway, great rising. Great rising. Oh, I know you, D. Renee. Listen, that's my brother in Christ, y'all. All right, listen. Here we go. You know me, I'll stall all day. All right, Iyanla Vanzant. Yesterday I cried, celebrating the lessons of living and loving. Okay, this is one of those books that I always give away. So every time I get it back, I'm back crying. All right. Let's see. All right, we're just gonna start right at the beginning and all that. And all that. I'm gonna keep my little music in the background. Great rising. This is so awkward with me laid down like this. And then I got to make sure the boobage stay put away too. So hold on right quick. We got to have another way. Hold on. Give me a minute. My spidey senses is tingling. I'm gonna come up with something. Give me a minute. Hold on. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. All right, hold on. I think I might have an idea. Okay. All right. This might work. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, that'll work. That'll work. I just gotta move my mat to keep my ass off the floor. Okay. Perfect. Sacred spirit, miracles, deep wisdom, protect me from harm and my steps. Sacred spirit, absolute perfect light, and with me in your sacred purity, peace. Bless, truly bless. Share the sacred light. Sacred spirit, teach me to universe. All right, we ready. Let's get it. All right, we're gonna pick up right at, that's crazy. I was gonna say at the beginning, and that is the beginning. Oh, thank you, girl. Listen, y'all give me a minute. You know, my sister start talking to me. I have to do my sidebars and shit. I get everything at Rainbow. And Sasha, I'm a large woman, and this is a small shirt. So that ain't even how it go. Hold on, let me show you something. Have to put Negros and frijoles in their proper places because they don't do right. You know what I mean? Hold on. This is how it's supposed to go. Ain't that even cuter? You know what I'm saying? Ain't that even cuter? Hold on right quick. Got me feeling myself. Yes, sir. If you can fit it, you can have it. You know that. I'll wash this John with some of that Ariel powder. See, yeah, these girls a little too heavy to be. Yeah, like them. Let me take that string back off. It's too small, Queen. You know what I mean, Queen. Hey, so I'm a sacred woman, but let me say this as straightforward as I can. Fuck with me, you know I got it. Okay? If you want it, you can fit it, you can have it. Oh God, it's beautiful. And by summer, I'm gonna be able to fit it well if you don't have it, because summer are my slimmer months. And it's something about the sun that just keep me going and keep me going. I'm distracted from eating, I'm distracted from stopping. I'm just all in my air element. And there's something about this cold that had me just want to sit up in a corner and snack till I look like a snack again. That's how I was just telling my not husband. I was like, I know it's time for me to, like, it's grind time, because I'm being complimented way too often with, damn, you thick. Damn, you thick. That is not, listen, coming from thick and hypertensive and thick and on the brinks of diabetic and thick and migraines, I associate thick with a lot more than some motherfucking Fashion Nova. so, so I'm like, yeah, that's my cue to. Yeah. Okay, well then I'll wear that John, and if the armpit don't fall off by the time you ready and I'm ready, then we'll do the swap. Let's get on in here. Yesterday I cried. Iyanla Vanzant. Let me give you some copyright information. That way nobody think I'm jacking for beats. Copyright 1998 by Intervisions Worldwide Network, Inc. All right. All right. I always do that out of respect. But the truth is, that's the same area where it tell me not to share this book with you this way, at least not more than a certain number of pages, I believe it is. All right. At a time, though. Loophole. All right, here we go. Yesterday, I cried. Yesterday, I cried. I came home, went straight to my room, sat on the edge of my bed, kicked off my shoes, unhooked my bra, and I had myself a good cry. I'm telling you, I cried until my nose was running all over the silk blouse I got on sale. I cried until my ears were hot. I cried until my head was hurting so bad that I couldn't hardly see the pile of soiled tissues lying on the floor at my feet. I want you to understand, I had myself a really good cry yesterday. Yesterday, I cried for all the days that I was too busy or too tired or too mad to cry. I cried for all the days and all the ways and all the times I was dishonored, disrespected, disconnected from myself, only to have it reflected back to me in the ways others did to me, the same things I had already done to myself. I cried for all the things I had given, only to have them stolen, for all the things I had asked for that had yet to show up, for all the things I had accomplished, only to give them away to people in circumstances, which left me feeling empty and battered and plain old used. I cried because there really does come a time when the only thing left for you to do is cry. Yesterday, I cried. I cried because little boys get left by their daddies, and little girls get forgotten by their mommies, and daddies don't know what to do, so they leave, and mommies get left, so they get mad. I cried because I had a little boy, and because I was a little girl, and because I was a mommy who didn't know what to do, and because I wanted my daddy to be there for me so badly until I ate. Yesterday, I cried. I cried because I hurt. I cried because I was hurt. I cried because hurt has no place to go except deeper in the pain that caused it in the first place. And when it gets there, the hurt wakes you up. I cried because it was too late. I cried because it was time. I cried because my soul knew that I didn't know, that my soul knew everything I needed to know. I cried a soulful cry yesterday, and it felt so good. It felt so very, very bad. In the midst of my crying, I felt my freedom coming because yesterday I cried with an agenda. The beginning, it was happening. I had seen myself on television before, but not like this. I had never been on a mainstream national television show until now. This was special. This was big. This was the culmination of 16 years of hard work, of 3 years of waiting for a producer to get back to me, and an entire day of filming. The results? One 12-minute segment about my life and my work on CBS Sunday morning. It felt great. Definitely something to celebrate. Instead of throwing a party, I felt awful, dishonest, like a fraud. I guess that's why I began to cry as the music began, heralding the start of the program. These tears were quite different from the tears I cried the day the segment was filmed. Throughout our many experiences of life, we cry different kinds of tears. What we're probably not aware of is that each type of tear emanates from a specific place in the body, and that each type has certain distinct characteristics. We may realize that shedding tears at certain times will have a particular effect upon us and those around us. What we are probably less conscious of is that each tear, regardless of its origin or its effects, contains a seed of healing. Angry tears spill forth from the outside corner of the eye, making them easier to wipe away as they come at unexpected moments and inappropriate times. They originate in the ego, the part of our being that presents to the world who we think we are. Angry tears create heat and stiffness in the body because when we are angry, we usually don't know how to express what we feel. We definitely don't want anyone to know when we are angry because anger is not acceptable or polite. Rather than display anger, we hold back, and the tears rage forth, shattering our self image. More important, angry tears reveal to those around us our vulnerabilities. This, we believe, is not a wise thing to do. I cried angry tears the day CBS film crew came to my home. I had just moved into a new house. I had very little furniture to fill the empty spaces in my large home. The garage was full of boxes, one of which contained the outfit I'd planned to wear. It was an unmarked box that I could not find. I was also angry because my new mother in law was on her way to our home and I had no place for her to sleep. What would she think of me? I thought I was angry because I had waited so many years for the segment to be filmed, and now that it was happening, I didn't feel ready. I realized that I was angry because I didn't have the courage to tell the segment producer or my manager that I wasn't ready to film the show. I wasn't ready because I didn't feel worthy. I cried because one of my favorite news correspondents was coming to my empty home 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I couldn't locate 4 plates that matched. What would he think of me? I was angry because I felt so vulnerable, so exposed, so inadequate. I was angry because I felt so powerless, and that made me sad. Sad tears spill forth from the inside corner of the eye, finding their way across our nose, cheeks, and lips. For some reason, we always lick sad tears. We know that they're salty, and the things that bring them forth are usually the bitter experiences in life. Sad tears come from the heart. They usually bring a bending of the shoulders and a drooping of the head. When you are about to be interviewed for a national television program, you must hold your head up and you must wear mascara. It is hard to put your mascara on when you're drooping and crying. I had found something to wear. It wasn't what I wanted to wear, but it would do. So now I was crying because of the incredible experience of sadness that I felt in my heart. I'd worked long and hard to get to this day, this 12 minutes on CBS. There have been many hard times and many hard lessons. Weathering it all, my work had moved forward. My life had certainly moved ahead. In my heart, I knew that moving ahead would mean leaving certain things and certain people behind. I knew that this level of exposure would mean advancing to another level. It was no one's fault. It was simply about time. Life has a way of doing that to you and for you. Life will propel you into situations where the things that once worked no longer work. Time passing, carrying things or people out of our lives as it brings new things and people into our lives makes us sad, and it always makes us cry. I also knew that once the segment of Sunday morning aired, if I had not made certain decisions, they would be made for me. That was frightening. Frightened tears take up the entire eye, clouding our vision, as fear will do. When we are frightened, we cannot see or think. Frightened tears are usually big tears that well up in the eye. They spill over the whole face. Frightened tears come from the soles of the feet. They shoot through the body and create trembling or shaking. I was scared to death that I would be found out. People would find out that I was frightened, angry, and sad. When you arrive at a certain station in life, people do not expect that you experience certain emotions. People believe you are above all that, and they tell you so. That's simply not true. All teachers must learn. All healers must be healed. And your teaching, healing work does not stop while your learning, healing process continues. In fact, healing in public is an awesome task that requires you to lovingly point out the defects of others while you are healing your own. I had no idea what I would be asked during the interview. This was, after all, the award winning CBS Sunday Morning. They could ask me anything about anything, and I would be obliged to respond. What if I was asked about something that I had not yet healed? Suppose I couldn't get my mouth open to respond. What would people think if I were asked a question on national television about the little challenge I was now facing in my own life? And what if I got angry or frightened with millions of people watching me? Would they know? How would I live with that? What would people think about me? I didn't have time to figure any of it out. I had to get dressed. I had to be interviewed. Great rising, family, great rising. Then there was a shame-filled tears which fall when we are alone with our thoughts and feelings. Shame-filled tears when we're judging ourselves, criticizing ourselves, or beating up on ourselves for something purely human that we have done yet can't explain to ourselves or to others. Shame-filled tears come from the pit of the stomach and usually cause us to bend over, not in pain, but in anguish. There I stood, about to experience something that many people in my position would sell their two front teeth to experience, and I didn't feel ready or worthy. There I stood, about to realize a dream come true, and I was so ashamed of myself that I couldn't get dressed. I was afraid, ashamed, and furious with myself that I had not yet mustered up the strength to confront a personal challenge. It had nothing to do with money. It was not about a relationship. Thank goodness those two areas of my life are finally in order. This was about me, the big time best selling author. I was ashamed that I had come so far only to get stuck on something so small, so trivial. But was it trivial? You cannot trivialize the need to do for your own well being, something that you know will upset someone you care about. It is not easy or trivial to say to someone, I love you, but I must leave you. It's peace, sis. We're reading Yesterday I Cried by Iyanla Vanzant. It is no small feat to try to wipe running mascara from your cheeks after you have put on your foundation and powder. Talk about PMS, the poor me syndrome was making it impossible for me to get my face together, and the film crew had just entered my half empty home. Combination tears. Combination tears are the worst tears of all. They're filled with anger and sadness and fear and shame. They have a devastating effect on the body, bringing the stiffness of anger, the drooping of sadness, the trembling of fear, and the bending of shame. They make you cold when you are hot. They make you tremble when you're trying to keep still. Most of all, they make you nauseated. Suppose I threw up in the middle of the interview. Oh, great. My imagination had taken a turn for the worse. I was standing in front of the mirror, terrorizing myself, feeling unworthy, feeling afraid, and being mad at myself for all that I was feeling. I would have slapped myself, but that would have made my eyes run again. Instead, my angel showed up at that bathroom door. My husband, Adeyemi. He had come to tell me that the film crew was waiting for me. As soon as he saw the redness in my eyes, he stretched his long arms out toward me so that I could fall into them. I did. And I cried all over his clean white shirt. Come on now, don't be nervous. This is no different from anything else you've done. You can do this with your eyes closed. Closed, yeah. Smeared and mascara, nah. I would have to start all over again. That is exactly how I felt about my life. It seemed to me that on what should have been one of the happiest days I had ever known, I kept arriving at the place where I would have to start all over, and it pissed me off. The interview went smoothly. I did not shed a single tear. Terrence Wood, the CBS correspondent and the interviewer, along with the camera person and the producer, commented on my home. It was, they said, beautiful and peaceful. No one believed we had just moved in. No one seemed to notice or care that we did not have what I thought was the appropriate amount of furniture in the appropriate rooms. Why do we subject ourselves to the hysteria of expecting the worst? I guess it's part of our nature as human beings. I also believe it is the natural outgrowth of postponing the inevitable. You can put off what you need to do, but the longer you put it off, the more hysteria and conflict you'll experience, the more tears you'll shed, the more anger, sadness, and fear you will create in your own mind. I had something unpleasant to do that I had resisted doing. I had put it off long enough. Now, it and I were about to show up on national television. I knew that the moment that show was over, I would have to go upstairs and cry in my favorite place, the jacuzzi. Of all things to master, why did I have to pick tears? I've learned about tears and through tears. I haven't figured out whether it's a blessing or a curse that I can assess the tearful experience of a person. With a breath, I can feel in my own body what the person is going through. I can process others through their tears with words and thoughts and images. I had come to the place and point in my life where I now had to do the same for myself. I had to get beyond my own tears to the core of the issue. I knew it was my core issue, my subconscious pattern that was making it so difficult for me to fire my manager. After all I had experienced and learned, I had to revisit my own past, which was filled with bitter tears. In order to move into the future, I would have to live through the present, knowing that millions of people would be watching me on television who did not know that I could not find the strength to do for myself what I felt I needed to do. It was this feeling that made me feel like a fraud about to be found out. Great Rising. Hold on, let me get my water on. Great Rising. I love this book, y'all. I love this book. Mm. Oh, you know what? Listen, I think I want to give this book away. It's a dope read. I think I want to buy you a copy. You know, buy somebody a copy and give you one. So yeah, we're gonna figure that out. If you can, remind me to ask some type of pop quiz question before we go, so that I can give it away to one person to say, "Oh, you said almost 60 days the cold help." Shh, shh. I know I'm late, but what the cold help? Shit, my knee pain. I'm just kidding. I'm just talking shit. I don't have any pain. All right, let's focus. Let's focus. Don't take much for me to get on off course. Hold on. Whew, good. Phew, shy. What to say? All right, let's focus. All right. That's peace. You know what? Let's just talk for a minute. How about we do that? After all I had experienced and learned, a fraud about to be found out. This is a conversation that me and the sisters closest to me have all the time. All the time. It's not just me putting a positive or church spin on things. Oh, that's good. That's peace, sis. That's peace. Cause yeah. Cause no. I done seen brothers and sisters huddle up together with strangers to keep warm to smoke them cigarettes. All right, in the snow. Anyway, so that's peace. A lot of the time when sisters are going through something emotional, and brothers just the same, okay. Um, Brothers, you're welcome to come to me on a side note. I know primarily sisters do because brothers don't want to come to nobody. And if it's safe for you to speak to me, I'm willing to listen. I know some women are volatile and some women are insecure. So you reaching out to me makes them feel threatened. And that's not what I'm aiming for. So if it's safe and it's peace for you to reach out to me, if you need me, open door. All right. Anyway, so a lot of the times, most often, just being real, when someone comes to share with me something that they're upset about, it's the way they're looking at the narrative. Okay. They've put an unrealistic. Hold on, let me see if there is a magical way to. Let me see if there's a magical way to block somebody on here. Come on, YouTube, impress me. Impress me. Impress me. Hold on. Okay. Okay, hold on. Oh, perfect. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if this works. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I love you too. I don't even know how to work the YouTube, so we'll have to figure that shit out. Meanwhile, we're talking about how we cope with the narratives that we tell ourselves, or really the lies we tell ourselves. We tell them to ourselves first and over until it sounds good enough and is smooth enough that we can share it with somebody else. All right. Perfect example. I remember when a sister called me like, um, expressing her distress because her man was leaving her. Okay. He leaving her and he's not going to take care of her anymore. And how will she support her children? And since you're a working woman, you live in the same home you lived in when you met him. And you've been in that home for 8 years and you've been with him for two. Since he's married and has always, through the course of your relationship with him, been at home with his wife. So when you say he's leaving you and he like you gotta get to the core. Um, he's only ever taken care of you when he felt like you were behaving, okay? When you were doing whatever he wanted you to do, how he wanted you to do it, when and where, and being acceptant and tolerant of all of his stuff. Those are the only times that he would do for you. And he would, in fact, deprive you and put you in a position where you have to hide your car from car payments until, you obliged his request. And this was the course of your relationship. So in your mind, you've told yourself this beautiful narrative about how this man who loves you and honors you and takes care of you is leaving. And so you're going to lose all of that. And in actuality, those are things you never had. Since what you had was employment. He paid you the bare minimum for a whole lot when you did exactly what he wanted you to do, how he wanted you to do it, and when he wanted you to do it. Um, girl, I don't know how to use the internet like that. And what would happen? Listen, Lene, what happened is I fuck around and be to shut down the whole live trying to fuck with the catfish. I know how the catfish shit go. I used to be a catfish, B, and I was actually good at that shit. I wasn't just harassing people. I was actually building fake profiles, getting the numbers all the way up. Yeah, I'm gonna get this motherfucker to 10,000 followers, and then I'm gonna sell it to a local rapper. I'm gonna get it up to 15,000 followers, and then I'm gonna sell it to an underground model, somebody who hungry and they ready to buy likes and buy buys and stuff. Like, look, I'm gonna give you a sign in. You're gonna give me $500 and we're gonna swap it like that. I had to have 5 or 6 different catfish pages at a time, B. That used to be my job. Shit, shit, don't Google me. But Hips Ahoy has history. You know what I mean? Cornbread. And we used to get ratchet for it too. Like, that's how I fed my family. Shit, titty Tuesday, thong Thursday, and half of them titties wasn't mine. Before listen, hey, I know about the catfishing thing. I also noticed my state of mind when I catfished. Like, now, if I attempted to, I would blow the cover because every fish would have the exact same personality over and over and over again because I can't escape me being me. And anytime I'm anything less than real, damn how it impacts your life or your reality or your visions and shit. Like, damn all of that. When I lie to you, B, the lie hit me first. The lie hit me first, and I don't want that destruction for myself. So I know the state of mind for somebody who can comfortably like fish people or like I know it's fucked up out here. And shit, when I cry for those people too. I cry because I used to be those people. Listen, when you don't feel valid or you don't feel worthy, like real shit, come on, it can make sense. Listen, somebody in a beautiful relationship, exploring love and loving it, laughing and at peace and at joy. Somebody with a brand new baby to bundle up with and experience new life and shit. Somebody with millions account because they just got away with a money heist, or somebody, listen, on your way to the airport for a business trip, well, you got business about yourself. B, you don't be out here fucking with people. This is the truth. So I've learned to read between the lies. You know what I mean? And I see us for who we truly are. And even when I see the devil, it's hard for me not to feel compassion. It's hard for me not to feel compassion. Part of that is how God I am. All of it belongs to me. All of it belongs to me. The good, Ashe, the bad, Ashe, and the bullshit. It all belongs to me. All right. All right, here we go. So we're talking about changing the narrative. So I'm like, sis, like you wasn't in this like dope ass relationship. The shit was rough for you. You was being abused, sis. Okay, like you were being neglected. I need you to rewrite the narrative and tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth. It makes it easier. Some of us have like one of my favorite expressions of love is when somebody releases an elder. They say my grandmother died, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My condolences. I'm so sorry." And they like, "Nah, it's peace." She was 91. You know what I mean? She was 91. She was old, and she had been in bed for at least 10 years. You know, it was time. That's peace. There are some people who the narrative is, "Oh, God took my grandma. God took my grandma. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready." There's no connection to what's real. All right. The timing, you know what I mean? These avatars don't tick on forever. Anyway, when you change the narrative and look at the truth of what it is, you'll and remember that the natural human instinct is to take the negative spin on it. Okay, to take the negative spin. So somebody don't call you back. The first thing ain't they battery died. The first thing is who they fucking. Like, you can't find somebody on Facebook. The first thought is why they blocked you. You know what I mean? Like, Facebook fucking with you. It's algorithms. Once we learn to remove that negative blockage, everything comes to a completely different filter. Everything comes to a completely different filter. I'm filtered so awkwardly that when somebody says, I was talking to my personal circle recently, um, and I had told one of my, so I'm telling my blood sister, I say, one of the sisters isn't following me on Patreon anymore. And but I'm so thankful that it worked out. She's like, what do you mean it worked out? Like, what happened? I said, well, she came to me very business-like. It was loving and it was also professional. And she explained to me that if somebody is paying a subscription and I commit to being live 3 times a week, if I don't come live for one of those times, she was asking me, can I make up for it since technically she's paying for 3 lives a week? And I told her I would rather her not be a Patreon subscriber than me do anything differently than what my body or spirit will allow. um I live in oftentimes in uncomfortable spaces for that reason. If it requires me to do anything outside of what my mind, body, and spirit agree to, then it's going to be a no for me. And so I politely said that, sis, I don't want you to feel slighted. This shit was started in love. You got access to me anyway. Take the subscription off. And so she did, and that's what I said. And so she took the subscription off. So we good. And my sister's like, well, what did she say? What did she say? Remember, my sister and I filter things different. So like, what did she say? And I was like, she said, say less. She's like, ooh. I'm like, what do that mean? Say less? That's like, bitch, you ain't saying but a motherfucking thing then. Like, did done. I'm like, but she didn't say, bitch, you ain't said but a motherfucking thing. She said, say less. I think, listen, here I go. That's like, say no more, which is like, I come in peace. It's the same number of syllables as I love you. No, really. I'm telling her, like, listen, she said, say less. I thought that was goddamn lock, stock, and barrel. I thought we had done it all, done it all. She's like, anyway, the way we see things differently. And even things as trivial as the emojis, okay? Even things as trivial as emojis. Some people will read them like one way and some people will read them another. Like I told you, there's a sister of mine that believes the wow emoji on Facebook is a negative emoji. Um, and I'm thinking, I thought to me when I see that, I'm like, oh my God, I am floored. You know how the mouth do like anyway, there are some things that you could do, some practices, you know. I like that I said practices because practice makes perfect. You don't decide, yeah, I'm going to do that thing Ife said, and I'm going to look at shit with rose, shades. It doesn't happen that quickly. It's a process. Where you start, where I started, is you go back and you assess the last times that you went ape shit. The last times I went clean off my motherfucking rocker. And mind, body, or spirit. The last time I didn't have no balance and wasn't quite sure whether or not I should Shamanaha. The last time it took a whole lot to summon the righteousness, you know, to be more assertive than the ratchetness. And go back and think about the old ones, them situations where when you think about them, they make you mad again. And look at them differently. And look at them differently. Um, and look at them differently. There was a time I dated a guy who stole from my uncle, okay? Who stole from my uncle. I didn't know until years later, after we had been apart, that he stole from my uncle. I remember him helping my uncle look for his wallet. My uncle came in town to stay with us for a little while. Me and the abusive boyfriend I was with. And my uncle had um, yeah, I was promiscuous. He was abusive. I know him now, and it seems like anytime we happen to revisit our past, and I ask him to remind him that there are some abuses that I can't quite get past, he reminds me that I had some shit also, like I was triggering him, and so I know that there's still some healing to happen. Anyway, and I say this in case he's watching. When you hear abusive relationship, beloved, I'm accepting my part in the bullshit. Anyway, my uncle came to stay with us and it was tax season. And my uncle can be really careless and really frivolous. And so when he lost his money, half of the family thought like, bro, you were supposed to go on a trip with your tax money and then come back and take care of your family. And now you done went on the road trip and had fun seeing your family. And now it's time to bring that money back home and take care of the family. And you don't have it. And so his family is attacking him. You know how family can do. Um, and he can't find the money, and we all helping him look for the money, and we never find the money, you know. we never find the money, just straight up. His whole wallet is just gone, and we assume that maybe he dropped it somewhere because he's a klutz, or maybe he got drunk somewhere because he drank. And so everybody's just like, "Oh, you fucked up, you fucked up, you fucked up." And if I had been more aware then, I would have seen and said something. But as it turns out, 2 days after my uncle was gone, okay, 2 days after my uncle was gone, my boyfriend was going out with his friends and shopping. They going to the World Bar or some shit out here in Atlanta. They going out and they all got buckets. And that's what, listen, the fitted caps and shit. That what they call them. Okay, they Detroit's finest. They got buckets and they got boots and they got everything, right? I don't even recognize how much of this is at Unc's expense, because they telling me, well, he's telling me that so and so got him fresh too. So and so looked out for him and showed him love, and it seemed real to me because the niggas he talk about usually have it like that. Okay, you say it would be years later before I would know the truth. Hold on, right quick, y'all. Let me get some. Water. It says, what advice would you give a wife whose husband? Mm, hold on, right quick. Hold on, say. Sis, what advice would you give a wife whose husband has given up on himself and now it's taking a toll on her spirit? Oh, um, um, it's gonna sound like I'm just giving a vague answer, but on that, give me a minute. Hold on, y'all. Give me a minute. I know I'm telling you a story. Ooh, I know I'm telling you a story about boop, almost name called. Boop, that girl got to work on that. Hold on. All right, hold on. Um, damn, it's crazy. There's so many different ways to answer that because it depends on where you are. You know what I mean? It depends on where a wife is. I'm in a different place than a lot of different people, so I move differently. And so it's peace for you to move the best way you see fit to move. All right. We all supposed to move with the tools that we have. Like a woman in an abusive relationship, when one of them say, when somebody suggests she run, one of them can go to her mama house. One of them ain't had her mama. She ran away from fucking foster home. She don't have anywhere to run. So everybody's tools are different. Only you know your tools, you know your tools, you know your strengths, your weaknesses, you know his. Okay. So I'm not armed like you are to make the best decision for you. I do feel like you already know. I will tell you that on God, B. The gut is God. The gut is God. And I feel like a lot of times, like I said, we tell ourselves a wrong story. And that's how we end up denying the voice of God, denying the voice of our gut. Our gut tells us to do this or this way, or our gut tells us this is bad or this is over, or our gut tells us you must keep pushing. And no matter what it is we get from the gut, because we want something so bad, we tell ourselves something else. We tell ourselves something else. Um, I still tell myself I could work in relationships that I know are dead and gone. You know what I mean? This ain't me encouraging you to leave. This is just me telling you the lies we tell ourselves are so real. This to me still blushing every time he text message me, knowing that there was a time where I couldn't get this man to text me back, and he was obligated to because he had made commitments to pay bills here in the home and had just ghosted me. And, and still I'd be like, listen, get your shit together. I tell myself about how good it felt to meet him and how wonderful he was and how he loved me and how, oh my God, I didn't have how I felt challenged in a relationship intellectually, which is something the Gemini motherfucking needs. And sometimes you just can't get it. I'm so used to being a teacher, and I was in a relationship where I was learning. And this is all the shit that I tell myself. Said I want to hang on the old shit, but I gotta correct the narrative too. If you correct the narrative, it make it easier to know what you read. You know what I mean? You gotta correct the narrative though. So look at it, sis. That's what determines whether or not you stay and fight and whether or not you stay and run. Like when you say a husband who's given up on himself, I've been with men who had given up on themselves from the very beginning. I'm saying giving up on himself. He had never given for himself to be given up. Who What's the truth? That he was never pushing for himself He was never pushing for you neither. And now that you pushing for you, it's more apparent because you can feel the momentum. You can feel the momentum. You can feel the movement. You can feel the distance between you. Is that what's happening? Or were you at some point really both growing steadily, right? Both growing and going at the same pace, and then something happened that he gave up on. If that was it, then you go to the something that happened and you start there. When you fix that, you go back to the trauma. You know what I mean? You go back to whatever caused God to get fucked up and you fix that. But a lot of the times when we correct our narrative, a lot of the times when I've corrected my narrative, I found that there was never any momentum for him to go or grow. There was never any momentum for him to heal. I was always his only plan, you know? Anyway, all right, so we talking about the narratives, and I was telling you, hold on right quick, because now I got to stretch my legs. I don't want the shit to look. Ooh, this say I don't want my legs to lock up. Hold on now. Hold on. Hold on now. Hold on. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Get my back together. Oh. Mm. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all stories and shit and read y'all. Read y'all books. We be low. Okay, we've been on here for 46 minutes. I was like, we be kicking it like great rising, great rising, great rising, great rising. All right, listen, I do want to get to the book. I'm gonna finish the story later on because I gotta get back to the book and shit. Okay. But I promise you, all of it's all the same. All of it's all the same about all these negative, all these things that happen, all these signs, because God don't like God actually does show up when you call, okay? Can we clear that up right now? You know what I'm saying? He might not come when you call, but he is always on time. If you didn't come when I called you, God damn. Like, listen, the truth is our God is always speaking. My arrangement with spirit has helped me in quite some ways because I had a pattern of eviction, and I don't make any more money than I made then or any other time in my life. Okay. But I had like a pattern, like I was always being evicted. I was always sick. I was always in debt. I was always in debt emotionally, financially, and spiritually. Always last, okay, coming up short. And when spirit and I say when spirit and I finally developed a relationship. Now spirit always had a relationship with me. When I finally removed the things that blocked me from hearing spirit clearly, I heard very clearly that the arrangement is much like the one the motherfuckers told me about the God. If you want to get to the heaven, it's some things you got to do. It's like this. It was obedience. I always tell you when danger is coming. Every single time, Ife, without fail, I will tell you when it's not a good move to make. Every single time. I have this thing. Well, when I meet a brother, like I'm so quick to give out my number because I'm going to meditate on it. Like, it don't matter what you tell me, brother. It don't matter what you text me. It don't matter if you send me a dick picture with an Android or iPhone 11 Pro. The truth is, I'm going to ask spirit. And in the arrangement that I have with spirit, I ask her to show me the course. Show me the course. That's it. And my relationship with her now is so peace that as soon as I say, show me the course, she immediately makes my heart feel the gist of the relationship that I would experience with that person. So if I feel light and I feel airy and I feel enlightened, then I'm excited to reply. And if when I meditate on that person, I feel sadness or confusion or pain or anger, then I just immediately back the fuck up. But the arrangement with spirit is if you listen to me every time, I'll protect you. And I remember asking her from what, and she said, everything, everything, whatever you're afraid of, whatever you're not afraid of, everything. And so heartbreak Yo, I went through one of the hardest. I went through a breakup that was even more difficult than my separation from my husband, my legally married husband. And it didn't devastate me like I was preparing myself for it too. I'm like, all right, when the ball drop, you're a healer. You're gonna pick it up. When the ball drop, you're gonna pick it up. It's been a year. February makes a year that I've been single. A year. No, and I'm still like, all right, when the ball drop, here I go. Like maybe when the season come back for when maybe when you just you're actually good. And I'm good because Spirit showed me and told me all the while how to move. And because I wanted to do differently, because I had lied to myself or told myself a different narrative. And a different narrative, okay? Different narrative. That's it. You believe a lie and then you get caught up in. Let me see how many more pages is on this. Okay. This is a lot of pages, but if I stop talking to you, we can finish this. All right, so I'm gonna stop talking to you and I'm gonna finish this. Like I said, and narrative, 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 narrative. Okay, narrative, narrative. For a long time, I felt with the abusive ex. For a long time, I felt the lie. I felt the lie. And in retrospect, I know the truth. Okay, we're gonna keep it like that. Just because we don't have time for me to go in like I want to go in. I've had a lot of exes. Okay, pussy has a pass on her. Forgive me. I keep thinking. I cannot keep thinking. My spirit keeps saying. My gut guide keeps saying. You haven't been on YouTube in a long time. You've been on YouTube through Patreon, but you haven't been on YouTube like in a while. Okay. And there are some people that are looking for you, and the last they know, and the only thing they know of you is Queen of Full Sacred Woman. So when you get on here and all your glorified freedom, keep your shit together. Oh man. All right, so let's keep on going. When we correct the narrative, though, it really does make it easier to go forward. You're not fired from a job or laid off from a job that you fucking hated and wanted to be free of for the longest time. A job where you felt overworked and underpaid and sad and depressed and you hate going to work. You on Friday are excited, but on Saturday you find yourself semi-sad because you know Monday is almost here again already. Listen, that job let you go. That job fire you. Don't go home posting on Facebook that you lost your job. Go home and post on Facebook that you finally found your mind. Okay? All right. Change the narrative because the truth is, Spirit has always been telling us what's up. All right. If you make it like that, it's easier to be like, all right, bet I'm going to be more mindful of that going forward. The show had begun with the segment featuring me. Charles Osgood, the host of Sunday Morning, was talking about me. He was telling the world about all the books I'd written and how many had been sold. He was revealing to the world how I had propelled myself from poverty in the projects in Brooklyn onto the stage of the world famous Apollo Theater. My husband squeezed my hand. My children beamed with pride. The dog was chewing on the left leg of the sofa. It could have been a time of joyous celebration. Instead, I was trying to discern which type of tears were about to spill forth from my eyes and across my face, realizing that whatever the type, everyone in the room would misinterpret their meaning. Everyone, that is, except me. How much pain and shame and fear and anger can any one body stand? That's a good question, I thought. How much pain can one body stand? I, like many people, have stood years and years, countless years of pain. We have held on to our mother's pain and the pain of our fathers, not knowing what it was or how to get rid of it. We have held on to our children's pain, our lovers' pain, and most of all, onto the pain of those who stand closest to us. Sometimes we're able to cry through the pain. Sometimes we stomp through the pain. Sometimes we move through the pain and fear and anger without the strength to cry. When we do find our strength again, we move on to the next thing without taking a moment to breathe or to celebrate. You know what? I'm gonna make this quick. I told you I wasn't gonna talk, that's why I have to make it quick. But I don't want to leave you cliff hanging on a story. Spirit, like commit to that because you know you're not gonna remember to tell them later. Um, and so, like I said, years later, um, like I'm not even sure how it came to be. Maybe one of his relatives. Like I grew up on Facebook. Okay, so it's been 10 years past, 15 years past, and one of his friends or family members or whatever on Facebook reaches out to me and in an effort to win my affections, confesses all of his old wrongdoings. You know, that time when he did this in your apartment, I told him not to. That time when he stole from your uncle, I tried to get him not to. And, but he like trying to get some ass, really threw this guy under. And my initial thought, I know, as the old or sick me, would have been anger and rage this many years later. I would have had to reach out like, I know what you did last summer. You know what I mean? But as it turns out, I'm catching this news in my growth, and my blockages have been removed, and I cry. And I cry because I realized that we had been together for at least a year, him and I had to pay for him to come to where we were. Like we met online, we were young. It was a dangerous move, but I didn't know. And I sent him money to move into my home, and I paid for him clothes when he got to my home, and food and everything. And I paid all the bills, and like I literally did what a lot of young women do. I exhausted myself to take care of him. All right. I exhausted myself to take care of him, and I anticipated his needs. Also, a thing that good customer service agents and women do. Oh, brothers, you too. Anticipate someone's needs before they communicate them. Okay. So he felt well taken care of, and in an effort to mind his manhood, I didn't want him to ask for money. I didn't want him to ask for cigarette money or beer money or weed money or ask for anything. So if it was within my means to get it for him, then I did. Okay. Here we are 15 years later. The first thought is not let me call him and bust his head with this knowledge. Nigga, I know you owe us 1,200. My first idea is wow. He never ever once told me how less than he must have felt as a man, but now I know, right? To get to a point where you feel the pressure of life so bad, you gotta take somebody else shit. I've met enough kick door boys to now understand that. I've met enough young black children in poverty that are doing things that they would not ordinarily do, things that they actually have to go back and forth with their gut guide to determine should they make this move or should they not. And even when the gut guide says they shouldn't, they do because of the pressures of what people think of them. And I thought, wow, at the expense of my uncle, who, let's be real, I hate to do it, but we got to look at the real narrative. At the expense of my uncle, who would have actually lost that money and who would have actually drunk it all away like he did with all the other monies, okay? or gave it away, Mr. Bitches. Listen, he would not have. It would not have made a difference in my uncle's hands the way that it made a difference in his. In retrospect, he was finally able to buy me something nice. He did pay a bill. He did treat his friends and buy weed and shit. Like, listen, for all, and you only give as much as you've gotten. Okay. He wasn't out here trying to invest in shit and did no deposit, no withdrawal. Okay. You're only gonna put out the shit that's been put in. And in his mind, the way to give back or to make people feel like you're not as bum as they think you are, to finally be a man, to pay back, to give other people like they've been giving under you. You done had your homies been taking you out and letting you wear their sneakers and shit. You trying to bless them back and shit. And this is to make you feel like a man. Like it cost my uncle $1,200 to make you feel like a man. That's $1,200 well spent. Am I happy with it? No, but I understand it differently. All right. I understand it differently, and changing the narrative and looking at the truth of shit usually will help you. If you ain't happy with the truth, you got to flip that bitch. Flip that bitch. Run me another truth, girl. tell them, tell them hey, the first one ain't fit right. Anyway, let's just keep pushing. All right. Gratitude, not to gratitude spirit for forcing me to finish. A fraud about to be found out. All right, everyone, that is except me. We're talking about how much pain and shame and fear and anger can one body take. Okay. Sometimes we're able to cry through the pain. Sometimes we stomp through the pain. Sometimes we move through the pain and fear and in anger without the strength to cry. When we do find our strength again, we move on to the next thing without taking a moment to breathe or celebrate. It is the tears that have got us through the darkest days and the hardest times. Many of us have been able to float on our tears to a new and better understanding of ourselves and the things we have experienced in life. Through our tears, we get in touch with those experiences that we have forgotten, hidden, or buried away in the pit of our souls. So, one Sunday morning, I sat crying because my soul and my life were being shown on television. And I, the guru of faith and hope, wasn't sure it was a true picture. The unshed tears of our many experiences color and cloud our thoughts. As we try to move forward without allowing the tears to flow freely, we find ourselves repeatedly in similar experiences. I was sitting in that place, a familiar place, a frightening, sad, and angry place. I was trying to suppress the tears of the things I had said and had not said, tears of things I had done and now needed to undo. Unshed tears get caught in our throats, making it hard for us to speak our truth and honestly express who we are as we move through life. My life was moving, and if I did not find the courage, give me a minute. I got a message, had to make sure it wasn't a 911. It said dope, not gay. Listen, I'm gay. I'm happy as fuck out here. It's peace. It's peace. No caveat, yo. Just give me all the love you got, straight up. Just give me my love straight, no chaser. Okay? You ain't got, I don't need no warnings, no explanations, no, you just give me my love right on top. Okay, sis? I love you too. Straight up. It's only one love. Give it to me. Please give it to me. It'll be the most reciprocal thing you ever did because trust and believe that I love you. All right. My life was moving and I did not find the courage and strength to speak. I knew I would choke out any possibility of the new life about to be born through me. I've cried many tears for myself and in the work I do for other people. What I've discovered is that most tears come from our inability to tell our story. One of my teachers once told me, tell your story. Your story will heal you and it'll heal someone else. My story is full of tears, sad tears, shame filled tears, angry tears of late, tears of joy. Watching myself on television, I realized that my story and my tears were not uncommon. Being a best selling author does not make me uncommon or different. I am still human. I still cry when I'm faced with the uncomfortable or the unpleasant. I still cry when I think about the sad parts of my story. I cry when I'm angry or ashamed. Sitting in my own home, surrounded by a loving husband and family, was reason enough to celebrate, and still I needed to cry. I wasn't crying because I had been able to move through my experiences telling my story in a way that supports and facilitates the healing of other people. I was crying because I had ignored the need to celebrate that fact. Yesterday, I cried because the story was so tragic, so devastating and painful that all I could do was cry. On this Sunday morning, I was crying because I realized that I still had work to do. Even though I had made it, I still had healing work to do. I've discovered the need not only to tell our story, but also to cry at the appropriate episodes. There are times when we are unable to cry, unable to speak, unable to express ourselves, unable to lift ourselves up. In those times, we need someone else to cry for us. Crying for others and myself has led me to the belief that certain aspects of my story must be told. If I am truly to heal myself and help others in the process, I must tell the parts I am uncomfortable about telling, not because my story is different or unique, but because I've been blessed to be able to cry myself through to a day and a time when joyful tears spring forth from my heart and allow me to stand straight. Joyful tears move up the spine and across the brain and bring you to a new perspective and new understanding that the sad tears were necessary, that each tear was a prayer, that tomorrow will be better than today. Joyful tears free you up to celebrate yourself, your healing, and your progressive process. My story is not so much of a thing that I've been through and done, but the things that I have grown through, the things that I've learned, the things that I now understand. My story is, some would call a triumph of spirit, others would call it a victory of goodness over evil. I just call it a story. And I tell it because I've learned that telling helps me continue healing. Telling my story gives me something to celebrate. I don't know who or what I would be if I'd not cried through the many experiences of my life. I know today that it is a life of peace, a life of joy, and a life of healing. What I find most amazing is the number of people who do not realize that they have victories they have gone uncelebrated, that they have victories that have gone uncelebrated. I have found this is the reason I celebrate you so, I promise it is. Like I said, I don't know if they have, and I know they having birthday parties and shit, and they having Patrick days and all kind of shit, but I don't know if they have a pussy day. I don't know if they have a dick day. I don't know if they have a day where they just give gratitude to you for carrying the tools and shit. Listen, they honoring soldiers who ain't never bust nothing before. Why they not honoring you when you carrying around the tools of creation every single day, honoring them, washing them? Some of you bold enough to adorn them and shit. Some of you bold enough to show them off, and blessed Lord, some of you willing to share them. You know, I want to throw confetti anytime you come into a room. And my heart feel it. You know what I mean? And so I just throw out affirmations and hope you receive it. Yes, you've gone on uncelebrated. Clearly, as we all have. I found, though, that as I tell my story, there are places and pieces that other people can tap into so that they may somehow find the courage to revisit their own experiences, bring forth the tears, and grow into their greatness. Life is about so much more than moving from incident to incident, issue to issue. When we take this path, we find ourselves crying without hope. This is what I experienced one Sunday morning. I had forgotten to celebrate my strength and my victories. I thought that would be selfish. I had forgotten to embrace myself or pat myself on the back. I had been told that it would be egotistical. I'd never thanked myself for all that I had gotten me through. And now others would be celebrating my victories, and I didn't feel worthy or deserving of such praise. I know there are far too many people suffering alone from experiences that are common to us all. Experiences that we've all gone through with flying colors, but are ashamed to talk about and afraid to celebrate. After all, what would people think? Should we be caught smiling in our own mirror? And that is all I have been able to do. I've done it in workshops, I've done it in lectures and in my books. I've been able to share with others a process that allows them to cry and then celebrate. Unfortunately, I became so busy sharing, I forgot to cry and celebrate for myself. I had given everyone credit but me. I had thanked everyone but me. I felt obliged and indebted to everyone but me. One Sunday morning, I decided that the time had come for me to figure out where I had learned how to do that and why I continued doing it when I no longer wanted to. I cried yesterday. I cried when I was a child. I cried when I was a teenager. I cried when I was a young woman. And it is the fear, the shame, and the pain of those tears that have allowed me to stand up today to tell my story and to celebrate my healing. This book is not just my story, it's our story. It's the story of the common things that we experience that we have not learned to express. It is the story of the things that keep us crippled because we hold them down in fear, in anger, and in shame. My prayer is that my story will help people throw away their crutches of dysfunction and addiction so that we can all stand together in a new time, a new place, a new understanding that enables us to celebrate the fact that we are all still alive. When grandma said that God never gives you more than you can bear, she was saying that all the tears you need to grow, all the tears you need to cleanse, all the tears you need to share are available. Do the crying, do the healing, and do the growing so that you can be all so hey, that's dope. And do all the growing so that you can be all and celebrate all that God created you to be, so that you can be all and celebrate all that God created you to be. That's what this story is about, and that's what this book is about. And that's why it had to be written. Even as I write, I cry. I cry when I think about what people will say about me, what people will think of me. But because my tears now flow freely with understanding, I am willing to take the chance. I know that I cannot lose. If this book, this story, these tears can help somebody, then I know that all I have lived through has not been in vain. I pray that as you read this book, you'll find the courage to cry and the understanding of why you're crying. I pray that you find the lessons beneath the tears and the ability to love yourself no matter what. And in spite of it all, I pray that tomorrow your tears will wash away the fear or shame or sadness that was prevented you from telling your story. Yesterday, I cried for the woman that I wanted to be. Today, I cry in celebration of her birth. Yesterday, I cried for the little girl in me who was not loved or wanted. Today, I cry as she dances around my heart in celebration of herself. I pray that your yesterday tears will be wiped, that you will find the courage to celebrate yourself and the lessons you have lived through, grown through, and learned through. The lessons that have been brought you to a deeper realization of yourself, of the child within you, and the constant mercy and grace of God. Now, let's have a party and enjoy. All right, great rising, y'all. All right, so yeah, at some point we'll get together and we'll read. Hold on, take that off. All right, so at some point we'll get together and we'll read chapter 1 and then 2, okay? And then 3. And I wish I could tell you when, but I don't want to make no commitments I can't keep. So yeah, I see y'all on the up and up. Make sure you go and shop at ifeasa.com just to help your girl out. Shit, you know what I mean? Support me. I love you. I love you. I love you. Peace and power. Oh, you know that weed won't smoke itself.